Hey, what's up you guys? So in this video, we're going to be talking about the big three of personal finance. So what exactly is the big three? So the big three is the average everyday person's three biggest and largest expenses on a month-to-month basis or even on an annual basis. So we're going to be touching on each one of those categories, and we're going to talk about each one and explain what are some things that you could do to minimize, your expenses in each one of those categories. So ultimately, you could then take this advice, minimize your expenses in those categories, allowing you to keep more of your hard-earned income, and then ultimately you're going to be able to take that leftover income that is now excess cash flow for you, and you're going to be able to use that income to then create more wealth for yourself, so then ultimately you can reach financial freedom. So with that being said, look right here on the bottom right side of the screen, find that red subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Give that red subscribe button a quick tap for me, so that way you'll get notified each and every time I upload a video. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. Alright you guys, so when it comes to the big three, the largest expense by far for most people, I'm sure there's people where, there's an exception to the rule, but for most people, the largest expense starts off with housing. So housing is obviously the place that you call home, with the place that you lay your head down at night, So regardless of whether that's you renting a place or whether you are purchasing a place, that is ultimately your home, the place that you call home. So what can you do in this category to minimize your expenses so that way you keep more of your hard-earned income? So we're gonna have to break this down into two parts. So if you're renting, the very best advice that I could give you is when you are first initially setting out to find that place, once you've found a reasonable place that suits your needs, regardless whether it's you as an individual or you and your family, just find a place that fits you guys in there, that's safe. It doesn't have to be the greatest neighborhood, and then a property that is massive and you have all these extra rooms and the property is extremely upgraded and all that. What you want to find is a property that basically provides your basic needs and that is in a safe neighborhood, and that when you talk to whoever is renting out that property, whoever's managing it, that the rental price that you're going to be paying on a month-to-month is going to be very reasonable when it comes to your personal budget. So that's going to obviously vary from person to person. So when you look at your income personally and you say, okay, this is what my rent is going to be every single month, as long as that, rent dollar amount is very small in comparison to the income that you're earning, and you are leaving yourself a lot of excess income left over on a month-to-month basis, then you are making a very solid decision, because you're going to need a lot more of your income for things way beyond just rent, and that should go without being said. But nevertheless, this is the approach that you got to take, because not everybody knows this information. So this is exactly why I'm putting it out there. If you want to and it's very easy to get carried away when you're out there looking at properties and you're like, oh, look at this one, it's in a really great neighborhood, and oh, it has the very best schools, and it has, all these features, and oh, I'm gonna have all this extra space and all this everything. But it comes at a price, the rent price is going to be very high. And the same is true if you are purchasing a home. It's very easy once you're out there pre-qualified and you're looking at homes and stuff, and you might start off looking at your budget on the lower end, and then once realtors have shown you properties on the higher end of your budget, it's very easy to get carried away and be like, oh, look at all the upgrades, and look at this just amazing neighborhood, and look at all this type of stuff, and now you're just carried away, and you were there maxing out your housing budget. And it's yes, the home might be amazing and great and all that, but at the end of the day, you are stretching yourself extremely thin, if not over your budget, when it comes to just the category of purchasing a home. So the very best thing you could do, very similar, just if you were the one renting the property, is you just want to find a home that fits and suits the needs of you or your family, if you're, obviously if you have a family. And then as long as it is fitting you, and it's not a junky place, and like I said, it fits your needs, you're in a safe overall neighborhood, and that's it. You basically just want the basics, and you want to try to find a home that when you are making that purchase, that that your monthly payment for that home is going to be, again, very, very affordable on you, based on your individual budget, because you're the one that has to make that monthly mortgage payment. So when you look at that monthly mortgage payment based on your monthly income, it's like as long as you can make that payment very comfortably and still have a large amount of your monthly income left over to pay a lot of other things, and even after you pay those other things, that you're gonna still have even then in excess of like free cash every single month, then you are looking definitely in the right direction, because obviously you could afford that and still have plenty of money left over even after you pay your other expenses. So this is the general approach you want to take when it comes to the housing category, so that way you can minimize your expenses as much as possible in this category and keep more of your hard-earned income. Alright, so out of this list of the big three, the second biggest expense for most people comes down to transportation. And hey, I get it, we all need transportation of some kind. Now, I'm not trying to suggest that everyone, take public transportation, or that you even walk or ride a bike, because it's just not practical for most people. Now, if you are in that type of situation where that is both practical and that it makes sense for you, and that you even choose that you want to do it, then hey, that is a really awesome way to go. And I would say, hey, go for it, because you're going to save a ton of money. And then, like I said, the whole purpose is for you to keep more of your hard-earned income. So ultimately, with that excess income, you're going to be able to use it to build your net worth and ultimately reach financial freedom. So on a practical level, for the rest of us that don't have that type of situation, what could we do? So my very best advice to you is find a good used car that is like a few years old, maybe 4 or 5 years old, very low miles. Go out there, purchase that car for yourself. If you could do it in cash, great. If you can't, then hey, finance the car, and make sure that when you are doing this, obviously this is going to be a car, based on your income level. So for someone who makes $200,000 a year, for them to pay $500 a month is not a big deal. For someone who makes $2,000 or $3,000 a month, to pay $500 a month is a very big deal. So you need to go out there and use your own best judgment and say, okay, based on the income that I make, and don't go off your gross income, go off of like your net income that you bring home, that goes into your bank account. And when you look at like purchasing this vehicle and say, okay, after I make this car payment, and after I've already made, my house payment or your rent and all these other expenses that you have, all your utilities, all these other things, is this a very affordable payment? Does it fit very well into your overall expenses in your life? And if the answer is like no, because the more that I spend in this category is ultimately going to leave me with a lot less, income, or it's going to like stretch my budget very tight, that's a very good clue and indicator that hey, like you're looking at spending too much, on a vehicle. All you need is a very practical car. You're not looking to flex here. You're looking to get a good, reliable car that has low miles, that's gonna last you a good, set of years, probably like 7 to 10 years. It doesn't mean you got to keep it that long, but you're purchasing a vehicle that can, like, in theory, last that long to you, based on like the quality of a vehicle that you're buying. Because you're going to buy a vehicle that's only a couple years old and that still has a very low miles, and you're going to get it at a very reasonable price, and the monthly payment is going to be very reasonable for you to pay based on your income. And if you do this, then you're going to have a very economical car for you. It's going to get you from point A to point B without costing you a lot of money on a month-to-month basis, and this is going to allow you to keep more of your hard-earned income, and then ultimately, because you're keeping more, then you have more of your hard-earned income to use to grow your net worth, so ultimately you could reach financial freedom. Alright, you guys, so we're at number 3 out of the big 3. So what is the third biggest expense for the average everyday person? Well, it comes down to their food cost. So, and I get it, when it comes to food, food is very expensive, especially if you want to eat and buy good food that is both, it tastes good and it's good for you. And I'm not even talking about like out to eat food, restaurant or drive-through food or anything like that, or getting food delivered to you. I'm talking about going into a grocery store, purchasing that food, coming home and making it, and it is still very expensive if you go that route. So I'm not trying to say, hey, you're going to spend a little bit of money if you do what I'm saying in this video, but I'm saying, what could we do on a practical level to spend less than if we took a different approach, and at the same time we would still not jeopardize our health by purchasing food that is going to be very bad or just very low in dollar value, but at the same time it's going to be very unhealthy for us. So because that is not the goal, because we all should know, and I hope you guys do realize, health is wealth. Because if you have money but you don't have your health, then you really don't have anything, because you're not even going to be around to ever see that wealth. So the goal is not to spend a little, the goal is to get something really great and then have a great overall experience for, lesser than if you took a different approach. So how do we save money in this category of our food costs? So what you want to do to just minimize your costs as much as possible is, and I know it's not like the sexy thing to say, but you want to plan out your meals. Like, you want to be smart about it, because if you go grocery shopping with no plan, you're going to go right in and you're going to walk into that grocery store blind with no premeditated plan and no strategy on exactly what you're going to buy, and you're going to overspend terribly, because you got to realize, like, these companies are very, very, very great at marketing. So you're going to go through that store and everything is going to look so cool to you, and it's going to look good, and you're going to be like, oh, I want to try that, and oh man, I want that. And you didn't want any of those things before you went into that store, but with very clever marketing, you are going to be pulled in so many different directions to purchase a lot of different things that you might not even actually end up eating, or is not even going to be good for you, but you're just going to end up, because of the marketing, you're going to purchase it, and it's a bunch of unnecessary items that you do not need. So you want to be very strategic by creating a meal plan for the week. So I would say, whatever, let's just say for the example of this video, you say, okay, I'm going to go grocery shopping on Sunday, and I'm going to have my food for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then you give yourself the flexibility to say, hey, I'll go out to eat on Saturday and Sunday. So you would come up with the particular meals that you're going to eat throughout the week. When you go to the grocery store, you obviously want to create this list before you ever go to the grocery store. So then that way, when you go into the grocery store, now you're just going to stick true to your list and buy all the items that you need in order to make those meals for the week. And then you just stick true to your list, purchase only those items, obviously come home, make your meals for the, each and every single day based off of whatever you plan on eating, throughout that week and for that day. You just each day cook the meal accordingly for that day. Hey, switch it up, move it around, however, change it up week by week. It doesn't matter. I'm not trying to restrict you to eating some certain kind of food for a certain kind of day or some kind of meal plan, but it's just a meal plan in the sense that you are just planning out exactly what you're going to eat, and that you are purchasing only the things that you need to make those meals. So that way you're not just out there buying excess items that you don't need. You're not wastefully spending. That is the whole purpose. And if you do this in the category of your food costs, you're going to dramatically reduce how much money you are spending when it comes to your food costs in general. And I'm suggesting that you could even leave yourself, the flexibility to go out on the weekend. Now, if you just cut out that completely and you just say, no, I'm always going to cook at home, you're going to keep even more of your hard-earned income. And that is exactly the whole point, to minimize your food costs as much as possible while still getting good food that tastes great and that is good for you. And then it's like a win-win. You're getting really good food, having a great overall experience, not jeopardizing your health, keeping more of your hard-earned income. And then the whole point of this, through all three of these categories of the big three, is to save as much money as you can in all these categories. And then with that leftover income that is all free and clear, you are going to turn around and then use that free and clear income to invest into assets that are going to grow your net worth and then ultimately help you reach financial freedom. So hey, look, if you guys made it to this video and you have not already dropped a comment down in the comment section below, and you're not already currently subscribed to this channel, be sure to hit that red subscribe button. Drop me your comments down in the comment section below. I'd love to get your guys' thoughts and your overall feedback on this video. If you guys have any tips or tricks that you guys use to save on your housing costs, or on your food costs, or your transportation costs, be sure to drop those down in the comment section below. Hey, and if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button. And then also, if you guys would be interested in watching another video from me, be sure to click this video that pops up here on the screen, and I will catch you guys in that next video.